Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Peterson from Seagate. I just want to say, because we get this question a lot, are you a storage provider, or do you plan to? The answer is yes, but not for us to go scale our business. We're running a core business of selling systems and selling services and selling devices, but we want to be empowered and learn more about the challenges that you guys are facing. So, John, you can't hide over in the corner. So John has a sandbox or a toolbox of toys that we're deploying to be a learning platform, so we can better understand the challenges that you guys are facing. And clearly, there are a lot of challenges, and it's been great for us to be here to hear about that. So why are we here, and what's our interest? Let me just say, on behalf of myself and my team, we're really passionate about what you guys are doing. We see a lot of potential for this ecosystem, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we're excited about it, and kind of what we're doing as a company to be able to enable the ecosystem. So, again, kind of why we're excited about it, and some of the things that we're doing about it as a company. Certainly, storage is our business at Seagate. So, we obviously track growth trends in the industries. We've seen lots of verticals, and boy, pretty quickly, the growth in the Filecoin space got our attention. And we quickly formed a dedicated team. We call ourselves a squad, to help enable this ecosystem and better understand how we can make it grow faster. So that's the first thing. The other thing, credible amounts of innovation. I'll talk about that more in some of the slides. It's great to hear about some of you in this room who are developing, your own technology, trying to make this space grow. And really, to a large degree, that can be, the lifeblood of a vibrant ecosystem. I'll talk about the rise of the edge. It's one of our corporate mantras. We talk a lot about, where the location of data is changing. And, certainly we see the edge as one of the, growth locations. Not many of you still have hard drives in your laptops, and I'll talk about how we see the location of data changing over time and growing. 25% per year, based on some of our research. I'll talk more about that. And then another one of the key macro trends that we see in the storage industry is shift to as a service. And certainly, what you guys are doing is, enabling customers and clients to move away from buying hardware and buying your services instead. So that's a big trend in the industry, something that we track as a company, something that I think, you guys all embody and are helping to make that happen. And last but not least, and I've been in the industry a long time, it's really amazing to see this community come together. The fundamental aspects of all of you collaborating here is really unique. I've worked on probably 15 different business verticals, managed strategy and planning, and never in an ecosystem have I seen this level of collaboration in the community. And that really is something that can help make this space grow effectively in the future. So I'll talk about all of these in a few slides. A lot of what we talk about is Web 3 versus Web 2. Again, Filecoin grew about 15 exabytes. We usually talk exabytes rather than exabytes, but in about a 13-month horizon. I mean, just massive growth. Certainly got our attention. And just to kind of compare that to Web 2, if you talk about AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, based on our historic data, they reached that same level in 2012. Put that into perspective, that took the sum total of those companies several years to get to the level of storage that this community has deployed in essentially 13 months. And that was only 10 years ago. 10 years ago, all of those massive companies had about as much storage deployed as this storage provider community has done. Think about that. That was not that long ago. So really, really kind of fascinating and exciting. I talked a little bit about the, disruptive innovation, and how, all of you, as well as the developer communities, are coming together to provide, different levels of services. And, certainly, the main use case today for Filecoin is archive. But as many of you are thinking about CDN and compute on top of the storage, those types of use cases will enable, more data growth, more onboarding, and, think about the size of those markets. Those markets, based on our research, again, markets that basically were in their infancy 10 years ago are now $32 billion markets on an annualized basis. Massive markets that just got built, essentially in the last 10 to 15 years. And, I was listening to the Linux presentation earlier and thinking, hey, why should you guys charge for it? Because you're providing value. There's a lot of value. People are, charging massive amounts of money for the types of storage that you guys are providing. So, get paid for the value that you provide would be, my input to why, you should charge for it. And yeah, our storage isn't free. So that might be another reason. And we understand that too. And don't ask me if it's ever going to be free, because it's not going to be free. Okay. Again, I talked a little bit about data location, changing. Again, Web 2, centralized, Web 3, decentralized, movement from the core to the edge. Some of the use cases up here: smart factories, autonomous vehicles, smart cities. And, we view Filecoin as, part of that rise of the edge, at 17 exabytes and growing. And so that's, it's really interesting to see some of that data migration and some of that data gravity pulling, more towards the edge as some of these new applications exist. And so really, really kind of exciting to see that part. How is this changing our business? So this chart is 2010, 2020, 2030, and it looks at core, edge, and endpoint. Gray being endpoint, orange being edge, and blue being the core. And you can kind of see how our business has shifted away from client, endpoint storage. In 2010, it's a little hard to see, that was 87%. Then it, dropped in 2020 to about 27% of the storage, again, as the rise of the cloud occurred. And then in the future, we think that'll continue to shrink. And during that same time, we saw the edge storage from being a small percentage, 2%, going to 19%. Our projections are that edge storage will be, roughly 40% of the total storage bits deployed on hard drives just by 2030. I mean, it's this is a significant trend, and this isn't me making stuff up. 2010 to 2020 has already happened, and we're projecting on to 2030, in terms of how we see that trend going, and it's growing at about 25% per year. So, considerable growth on the edge, and so far, and we expect that to continue. This is the other trend I talked about, enterprise storage deployment as a service. And you can kind of see on this chart, again, non-service related is in orange, service related exabytes deployed. Again, this is actually all bits in HDD and SSD, but you can kind of see between, 2020, 2021, a steep increase in the percentage of the bits that were being deployed as a service rather than on-prem owned, by the user, through the course of the pandemic. And again, it's a trend that we've started to see growing. And, by 2030, we think it could be, somewhere around 60% of all the storage bits will be deployed as a service. And why are customers doing this? Why are clients doing it? You can see some of the reasons: cost, retained cache, lower, entry costs, technology that's flexible and scalable more easily. So this is a big trend, and you guys are all part of this, right? You're providing this service to clients the same way, that this is happening on a macro trend basis throughout the world. So really, really kind of interesting here as well. So what are we doing about it as a company? Well, one of the first things that we heard as we got involved was, hey, storage is expensive. I get paid over time, via my Filecoin rewards. Can you set up, a way that we can utilize your systems and pay for them over time? So that's what we did. So we launched, essentially an OpEx leasing program for storage providers to be able to, use our solutions and pay for them over time. So, we like to say Filecoin storage just got easier. We're doing a 3-year term for storage providers to utilize our systems. This is available in the US today. We're doing some proof of concepts, in Europe, over the next couple months. So hopefully we'll be deployed in Europe in the not too distant future. As other people want it in other parts of the region, come talk to us, and if there's enough business, then we'll put your locations, on our priority list, as we think about deploying this more and more in the future. So again, we recognize that, you guys, as well as your customers, are interested in OpEx models, so we're making that available to storage providers. What else are we doing? Well, we think we have some exciting technology, being our core vault systems that have some feature sets that really are advantageous to storage providers to manage, essentially your reliability. Being that our core business is, device-based, I like to say we built this product from the inside out. We understand the feature sets and the capabilities of our devices, and we wanted to bring those to the market through our own solution. We're doing a lot of testing. John's working, very closely with, to develop some reference architectures, do some appropriate testing to make sure that, if you deploy our solutions, that they'll be easy for you to use and effective for the Filecoin use case. So, again, we're trying to bring solutions to the market that will enable you guys to be successful in managing your businesses. And then beyond that, my goodness, so many of you are talking about, the challenges of client ingest and data onboarding. Time is certainly money, and we have, I'll show it in a slide in a minute, a portfolio of shuttle solutions that can be deployed to help you, essentially manage, that first mile, that first kilometer of, getting your client data to your storage providers, and from storage provider to storage provider, using that same device. So as you guys share deals, this could be something where, if a client data needs to go to multiple storage providers, it could be done on the same shuttle, and so forth. And so, why does it matter? Well, I was tempted to call this a space race, because to some degree, these are not, fancy, exciting, products necessarily, but they're effective. How do you guys think that like Amazon and Microsoft are getting big client data sets onto their network? They're using these kinds of devices. That's, and you think about it from their business, I mean, it's fairly similar to you guys. You really don't get, paid. They don't get paid at all till that client data gets to them. You guys get paid 10x, which is, considerably, advantageous to you. So put us to the test. We've started to run some modeling. Joao's here. We'll talk more, Joao. In terms of we want to be put to the test. Let's run some POCs. And let's make this work. Because if we can help you get your client data on board faster, then your time to rewards goes that much faster. And so I don't know that these models are exactly correct. Probably not. But we can, there's a reason why Amazon and Microsoft are using these kinds of things. And, let us be, the tool that helps you guys get clients' data onboarded and, and really put us to the test. Because I want this model to be tested out, because we think this is a value proposition for you guys to get client data These are some of the live mobile portfolio options. Most notably, you'd be interested in like a live mobile array with potentially a rack mount receiver. Some people have said, oh, well, it's only 96 or 92 terabytes, and I'm dealing with, big data sets. But we run fleets of these, and so we can manage a fleet of these. So you fill one up, you ship it, you fill another one up, you ship it, you get the first one back, you fill it, you ship it, and, we can cycle these things around so that you can manage large data sets, and do it that way. So. Certainly something for you guys to consider, something that's worthwhile for you to consider for helping you get client data onboarding. And several people are talking about sealing as a service. Hey, those are big files. How are you going to get those sealed sectors to the storage providers that want them? Hey, here's an option for you. If you can't do it over the wire, try loading it up in a shuttle. And doing it that way. So just some different use cases. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but some solutions for all of you to consider. Yeah, go ahead. I'm really done.
Are you offering that as a service? Or
it's just a service. Right now, Live Mobile is just a service, and we have some geographic limitations there too. Now, the question becomes, does Live Mobile just help you get it to a location that has a faster wire, right? If there's client data and you're dealing with 1 gigabit per second or 10 gigabit per second, but you can get it to somebody who's got 100 gigabits per second, and and then they can send it over a backbone or something like that. So there's different ways to manage that.
And is that service offered on small islands in the Pacific?
Well, do you have fast pipes there? I could get it to a fast pipe, from a client to a fast pipe somewhere, and that's probably how you're going to have to get it to the Pacific. Yeah.
So it is being used to ferry data in ships and cargo containers, and so the 96 terabyte limitation you see, well, you put a pallet of these on a boat, and even if it's only hauling 18 knots, that's still a tremendous data transfer rate when in quantity, right? So, and it's also, I'd like to point out, Tim touched on our astonishment with how effective this community is in rallying together and joining forces and leveraging one another's. We all benefit when this ecosystem, when this community grows. As such, when products such as the Live Mobile and whatnot were initially conceived, this didn't exist. But that man's in a position to help morph it into something that serves this community. And we need your partnership. We need to work with you. We'll do the POCs. My job for him is risk mitigation for you, because we have all these hypotheticals. We got all this kinetic energy. Let's turn it into kinetic energy, and we can do it together. And if it doesn't meet your needs today the way you want, we'll change it. We'll make it better.
So I've definitely used Snowball and then their bigger product. I've never had to pay for it because I'm reselling it, and I'm just negotiating with AWS to never, because they're migrating enough data. So let's just talk pricing, because in that case it's free. So in your case, how much does it cost? And that Snowball is up to, I think, 100 terabytes.
Yeah, something like that. But they also do Snowmobile. Honestly, I don't have it. Yeah, I don't want to be evasive, but I will get you pricing.
So
And, I was actually, and maybe Stefan will take us up on this. Maybe we do a webinar on Live Mobile for the community at some point, something like this. Yeah, would you like that, Joao?
Yeah, so I've been doing a fair amount of research in the past month on these things. I think Seagate is comparable with a couple other vendors that offer similar solutions. I think the baseline seems to be around 100 TIBs about $1,000 to $2,000 per TIB. Oh my God, I can't speak. Per 100 TIBs per month, right? So if you want to transfer about 100 TIBs, you'd be looking at, $1,400, $1,000.
I work closely with the team that is responsible for developing and integrating that product. And again, at the point of conception, there was a different set of use cases than what we're leveraging here. At the point where the Core Vault was invented, There was not even a cartoon bubble illustration of a leasing program. He made it happen. So if you take the use cases that have been published against the live fleet of shuttles and mobile devices, what's in place now was a solution for a different category of customers. And so we need to work together, because Tim and I can go back to the CEO or something like that and say, we ought to do this, that, and the other thing. But you give us a lot more momentum when we can demonstrate a use case and an ROI model for both of us to affect changes or pricing models or service models. So a lot of those things that you're talking about, that includes Seagate personnel going on site at the point of ingress, taking care of the shipment, doing the onboarding of the data, and then taking the shuttles back to a fleet to be completely remanufactured. That may not be the kind of all-inclusive door-to-door service that you guys need. You guys need a data carrier. And so we can tweak and tune that program to serve this community where today there's not a reference point and there may not be awareness within the context of our mothership on how we can make this better and how we can make it serve the community better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No, for sure. There's a lot of considerations logistically, right? The challenges scale pretty exponentially with how many devices you're trying to ship in terms of the fleet. And yeah, there's absolutely, we're actually thinking about a POC to explore exactly what the solutions can be. The way that I'd love to kind of explore this from an economic viability standpoint is to understand, you know, when you say time is money, what does that actually mean? If we can get you 5 petabytes, you know, within 10 days instead of 20, does that 15-day delta actually account for some meaningful offset in the cost? That's how I'm thinking about it. But if there's other ways that you're thinking about modeling this, for this to be like a potentially viable option, please let me know. I'd love to talk about that. Yeah.
Let's partner with it.
Yeah.
Try to speak louder to skip the mic, but let's partner on that. There's also a number of DevOps bits and pieces that are missing here that in mingling, we've heard some ideas on how we can do this. And tape drives had the benefit of tar files, being and this, that, and everything for 20 years. We're starting code. Let's do it together. Let's do it right.
Yeah.